One moment. Okay.
Good morning, Commissioner Fuentes.
Good morning.
How are you?
Doing good. How are you, Terrence? I like your type.
Oh, thank you. I just got it.
I was going to say the same thing when I was in your office earlier. I like it as well. Where'd you get it?
Banana.
That explains why we like it.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, Commissioner Sarnorth.
Good morning.
And I think Commissioner Glenn just joined on the phone.
Yes, this is Jim Glenn. Good morning.
One, two, three. Six, seven. Yes, I have to count out loud. I saw your face, Commissioner Cheney.
I just got tickled. How's the weather where everyone is here? It went from here to here. It's really cool this morning when I was walking my dogs.
It's cool here as well. Thankfully, because that's my favorite weather. But you're also coming from a very nice place where it really makes the difference a little stark.
Yeah, it was 100 degrees in Dubai, and the average temperature in the Maldives was in the 80s. Yeah, it's nice weather.
Next time you go, we all want to come too.
Let's go.
All right. I'm sure the state would approve of that. They can cover expenses.
I'm counting, Terrence. I'm trying to get everybody on my same screen at one time so I can get a count. I get to 6 and then I get lost.
We have 8.
Well, great.
And
Good
I'm not-
morning.
Go ahead.
Good morning to everybody, and welcome to the September meeting of the Kentucky Commission on Human Rights. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I guess first is the confirmation of quorum as well as confirmation of public notice from the executive director.
Yes, we have a quorum and public notice was sent.
Okay. Is there any public participation or any public issues to be raised?
No.
Hearing none, then let's move to the next item on the agenda, which is the consideration and approval of the minutes of the meeting held on August 19, 2021 that was in your board package. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Jim Glenn approved the minutes.
There's second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second that the minutes of the August 19, 2021 meeting be approved. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay. And in case of Mr. Glenn, say I approve.
Yes, I approve.
Okay. So those minutes stand approved. The next is our section reports, and we begin with a report from our executive director.
Thank you. And I'll start by saying Commissioner Henry is also on. She just wasn't feeling well. And so she wasn't going to be on camera or speaking.
Okay.
But she could record her vote by the chat if she wanted. And then Vice Chair Smith had something come up, but he wanted to share with everyone that he wanted to be here and he'll be watching the recording so he can still be a part of it. As far as my updates, budget-wise, there's not much of a change. We did have a couple position updates. Summer Saida is new here and she's helping me with some of the office management stuff. And Summer is a graduate of IUPUI and she is wanting to work here and learn about human rights and more on the law as she considers she's taking a break before law school. And I'm going to do everything I can in that break to talk her out of going to law school. So that's where we are. But Summer has been here for a couple weeks now and has been really helpful. And then after this meeting is over, once we've moved forward with our contracts being met, we're now doing the investigator interviews. And so we are looking to have that filled soon, which will be very helpful in getting some of those case ages down and getting this work even more addressed better. This is sort of a personnel update, but I just wanted to congratulate Commissioners Cheney, Rabbi, and Glenn on their new appointments the other day through 2024. So they're stuck with us. But I was very pleased to see that those were extended. As far as training and professional development, this past month, since our last meeting, I had my ethics officer and executive ethics training, which is just to help with us on making sure we're compliant with what we're supposed to be doing under executive branch ethics, but also learning more about what I have to do as the point person for ethics as an overall agency. There are some more trainings that are coming up for that, but this is just the refresher course. And then there are some other things that I can take part in. There are also going to some of the ethics commission meetings and taking part in some of those conversations and seeing what happens there. So more to come on that. in outreach, most of it will be covered with their section with Mary Ann. But I have reached back out for a meeting with the mayor in Georgetown about their commission that they have and how they're going to build it out and appoint people to those positions. That meeting got rescheduled, so we're still trying to figure out a time that works for that. And then I also reached out to the mayor of Madisonville about the conversation that our late Commissioner Thomas had been pushing for so long. And I really want to get on the books there and continue that conversation, because that's something he was really passionate about. And I still want to make sure that it happens. And so still reaching out to them to set that up. I did share with you all our Airtable, that front to back end tracking. With some of the things that popped up, I didn't get to build that out as much as I've wanted. I did finish one unit, doing the mediation unit, and there's some things to still work out with that. But I do, now that we've done contract, plan on working out the next phase, which would be enforcement. And currently the last thing I got to work is one of the automations where once someone declined mediation or a mediation was unsuccessful, Kristen can click on no. And if she clicks on no, it immediately sends all of the information over to the enforcement side with that full case record and an email to Aaron to say that this case has now been shifted to enforcement for assignment, which just saves some time and also keeps a clear record of when something goes from one to the other. That automation took a lot of time to try to get to work correctly, but it finally did. And so now there's just getting all of that lined up and now building out the enforcement side with Erin and her team. So more to come on that, but hopefully now that some things have been worked out, we can start doing more on that build out. Another technology update is we have thankfully gone away from our old school fax machine to a faster and more efficient online fax option, which can just be attached to an email. It makes a lot more sense. Some mornings when I come in, there's just random things that printed out on the fax machine on this floor. I have no idea what prints out on the fax machine on 14. It doesn't seem efficient. But now we can have faxes come to an account and then forward them out instead of them just being printed out on a printer that once somebody comes in and starts printing, it gets mixed up with those things. And so now we have that dedicated online fax option, which is a lot more cost effective too. And so that's where we are now. And I'm very happy about that change. Most people who know me know that my ideal scenario is getting rid of paper entirely. And so that's another step in the right direction. We have a long way to go, but we're getting there. A couple other things is, again, a big shout out to everyone on the team. We talked in our last meeting about being close on our EEOC contract and how we got that preliminary voucher payment for half of that cost. After this meeting, we will have exceeded that contract, and I'll let you all know when we are able to voucher for that payment and what that will be. But that is something that's really just a big thanks to everyone here about in getting those done and addressed. I put in my comments that next week I would be doing the Hopkinsville Unity Breakfast. That was my mistake. 2 emails they sent me had September 28th, and then 2 more had October 28th. And so it's actually October 28th, not September 28th. And I will share the invitation with you all in case someone wants to go or wants to sponsor a table or whatever. I'll share that invitation with you all before or after this meeting and send you all what I received. the another piece is we had two HUD updates. One is, I mentioned this last time, that we were going to be looking for partnership funding for some conversations, community conversations, starting with a conversation, hopefully in the Lexington area, on some issues with anti-Semitism in conjunction with Commissioner Rabbi. And he and I had a conversation 2 weeks ago, maybe, about how we could move forward with that. And I told him at the time that hopefully we'd get that partnership money approved so we could start moving forward. So this is me saying we got that partnership money approved, so we can now start moving forward. We've looked at spaces at UK to be able to host a conversation if it is done in person. And we received feedback on 2, I believe. Summer can correct me, but we've received heard feedback on 2 of them as options. And so as we build that out, and I'll work with Commissioner Rabbi and Education and Outreach and all of that on how that can play out. But that's exciting that we can start doing some of these conversations in different parts of the state around issues that are popping up in those communities, and letting people in those communities talk about possible solutions and how to address them. Another HUD update is, after some conversations with HUD, we did officially surpass our contract and have been given a clear to voucher, which this year we were able to get to work towards $168,200, which is all work that has been documented and verified prior to our payment authorization. And just as a reminder, for clarity, as that's something that has come up, payments are vouchered for completed and verified actions. And so that's why we had some further conversations with HUD on this. Is they initially did not want to issue payment for some of the cases that we worked, that they had some questions around. And so we had some follow-up conversations and showed them in the database where that documentation was uploaded. And they finally agreed that we had all of the information that was needed. And not only did we meet the contract, which we were at the start of that those conversations in danger of being a little bit quite under it, we actually surpassed it. And so we had all of those cases count. And so now that those actions and that work has been proven and verified, at that point now we are able to voucher for whatever, for that total. And then lastly, as of 2 days ago, I had met with the chairs of the subcommittees for the bylaws and foundation models. And we did that just to start the process. And so what we did was we worked through all the documentation and talked about ideas and discussion around what we should do, what we shouldn't do, kind of getting a lay of the land before we have those larger meetings with the subcommittees. And so those we're now planning for those. I will say, with Judge Stringer and Commissioner Worth, those were really good conversations about where we were and what we wanted to achieve. And now I look forward to being able to work with everyone else on how we really shape it, and then putting that towards a full proposal for all of you to review and discuss, because I do think that that will be something that's very beneficial for the commission and for the work that we want to do. And I do want to share in the bylaws revision. It was really, this will sound strange, but it was really fun getting to work with Judge Stringer on that. she's very smart, and the bylaws currently are 17 pages long. She and I went back and forth, and the proposal right now that we'll work with the rest of the bylaw subcommittee on is 9 pages long, which makes way more sense. And it's a little more clear. And so we look forward to going through that with everyone as well. That was all I had. I did want to, and I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but I did want to again start off by congratulating everyone on the team here. But I did, if it's okay with you, Commissioner Cheney, to share, just especially for the enforcement staff that's listening, kind of what you shared with me about what you saw with some of the work that they've been doing. And I just wanted them to know publicly how appreciated it was and that the work was seen. And big thanks to Aaron and everyone.
So I guess, Terrence, you're talking about the geeky charts that I sent you.
Yes, the geeky charts.
Geeky charts. I'm a data geek. I can't help it. But one of the things that's been a particular challenge for the team has been the incredible backlog of cases that accumulated and that the current commission inherited. But since January, between the case panels and the additional attention on the older cases, I mean, staff, Terrence, all of you all are doing a great job. The public accommodation cases, the average age has gone down by 110 days since January of this year. Employment, 71% of our caseload, and you all still managed to reduce the average age by 40 days. So, housing maybe has gone up a little bit, but the caseload there is big. So you're just making some great progress, and your hard work is really, Aaron and the whole team. I just thank you, because it's clear that great progress is being made.
Thank you.
Commissioner, let me say, I appreciate your putting this in Excel with the graphs, because graphically it tells a very, very good story. A lot of times in just looking at data, you get one impression, but when you lay it out the way you did, it's really good. And I appreciate you doing that. And I think to the team, as you said, kudos to them in terms of the work that they're doing. We're on the right path, and we just need to continue. So thanks to everybody for that.
And that was all I had. If anyone has any questions, let me know.
Any questions for Terrence from anyone on his report?
Just a comment, if I could. It's gotten better every month since you've been here. As Commissioner Cheney said, is obvious from all the work we're doing. Thank you very much.
Any others? Okay, hearing none, let's move to the next item on the agenda, which is the budget and personnel. Brandon.
Thank you. You have my report before you. I will note one structural change on the financial part on page 22 from previous reports. I used to include the previous year's fiscal year to date to kind of show where we were at compared to last year. I don't know if we really got that much value out of it. Instead, I included a budget variance, and it shows that we're $30,000 for the month below budget, 17%, and then for the year, 16.8%. And that's primarily due to unfilled positions. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take those at this time.
Any questions for Brandon? I guess I'll say for myself, Brandon, I guess when I got the packet, I looked at it and saw that that change. You know, I guess I was thrown a little bit for it, but you know, I like seeing the year-on-year comparison as well as the budget variance. So yeah, we go back to, I think what we've been doing for the last 7 to 8 months would be good.
Sure. I can do both. Yeah, I can certainly include the year over year.
Yeah. I guess the other question is, you know, we're under budget for the year. Is all that under budget in the personnel line?
I believe so. I mean, the vast majority of it. We run about 87% of our budget is personnel costs. And so any significant changes are going to be related to unfilled personnel positions.
Okay.
We currently have 3 that are unfilled right now.
Okay. Any questions for Brandon? Okay, hearing none, let's go to the enforcement report unit. Aaron.
Hello, everyone. Hold on. There we go. You all have the cases before you. If you all have any questions, let me know.
Any questions from anyone on any of the cases? I guess a couple of things. First one, in material.
I got my information a little late, but I'm still going through it, but I did not see anything that jumped out at me. So, but hopefully by the next meeting, I'll have everything in order to review a little faster, but I don't see anything currently.
In the material, there was no report on mediations. Did that move to somewhere else? My page.
So there was, and that's my fault. I didn't send I guess I didn't send the new one. We had a mediation scheduled for the day before yesterday. And so we saved the mediation report to put in on Monday after that mediation concluded, as well as there was another case that was added into the updated book on the tablets that was conciliated after the initial book was uploaded. And so all of that was added yesterday once those things concluded. And so then I dropped an updated September book with those 2 additions onto the tablets. And then that was my mistake on not sending that out to you as well once that came in.
Okay.
So Brandon's sharing the mediation report right now.
Okay. If you could, why don't you just send that page out? I know you put it on the tablets, but send that page out individually to each of the commissioners. It would be helpful.
Okay.
Then my next question is on case 9209E. And my question here relates to really what I guess one of the cases I raised a question about last meeting, and that is where they are the mixed motive cases in terms of timing. At least the Eastern District of Kentucky and the Western District of Kentucky, following precedent from other states, in cases like that, they have allowed those cases to proceed in terms of being able to reach some conclusion. And I guess I need to understand, what did we see that gives us the assurance that the finding of no probable cause is in fact justified. You muted.
My fault. The Knopp versus Star Construction case, that was a difficult case. There was a lot of evidence in that case for both sides, and we met with legal to discuss that case. And we were actually, legal recommended that that MPC determination based on the information, because the information that the complainant submitted was a little shaky. But Colt can maybe step in and help us with a mixed motive and stuff like that. But this was a big discussion case.
Anything to add, Colt?
I'm trying to remember which case that was. Aaron, can you refresh my memory a little bit?
Yeah, that's the Knopp case. The messages.
Sure. Yeah, so in that case, there was a ton of evidence that suggested that he had been getting disciplinary infractions for a long time. And then I think that case was a sexual harassment case in which he offered that he was a recipient of some messages from a supervisor. The company did an investigation on whether or not the supervisor obviously denied that, and then they looked into the IT investigation team that they had at the company looked into whether or not the messages were fabricated. They said they couldn't make a determination that they were real. So in light of that, plus the multiple disciplinary actions that they had against him for several driving infractions, to me, I mean, it appeared that was the reason for termination, not any other discriminatory motive. It's from my review, it seemed pretty clear.
Yeah, the timing of it is a little suspicious in terms of, granted, there was a disciplinary record there, and given the disciplinary record, you would have thought that they would have terminated him long before they got to this point, and then at the timing of the two, it just I guess raised real questions with me. But I understand.
I think there's a timing issue as far as the allegation that he received those messages too. I think he offered messages that were from an earlier time. So I think the argument can be made that he sat on those and his timing was questionable in bringing them up. I think maybe when and also I think it's important to note in this case that there was a reduction in force that I think coronavirus brought on, and looking at him and his comparable, I think there was one other person in a position just like his. That person didn't have any disciplinary problems, and then this guy had multiple. So in deciding who was to be let go, that's what they made their decision based on. And I thought from the record that was clear. I understand what you're saying, but I still think that the motivation for termination in this case was necessity as a reduction in force, and then also the comparables and his history of discipline as opposed to the other guy who had nothing.
Okay. Okay. That's all my questions. Anyone else? Any questions regarding any of the cases, the case recommendation? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the staff's case recommendations?
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the staff's case recommendations for this commission meeting be approved. All those in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
And Jim Glenn has aye.
Okay. And Commissioner Henry, I assume she's in agreement as well. Okay.
Thank you all.
Thanks. That is approved. Next on our agenda is the Education and Outreach Unit report. Mary Ann.
Good morning. Do you all have any questions about the education and outreach report? We've actually had the opportunity recently to do some outreach again. We were at World Fest. Director Sullivan and our attorney Kristen was able to join us a couple of days with Juan Pena. We saw Commissioner Fuentes there. I think he was dancing, but I can't be sure. It was a big crowd, but we really did have a good time, and we were able to pass out quite a bit of information, and that was just a good feel for us to get back in the groove and the swing of outreach. One of the things that you will see, though, at the very beginning of the education outreach report is that we know that there are going to be Afghan refugees coming to the state. There's some already here, and we did reach out to Catholic Charities. We reached out to Kentucky Refugee Ministries and let them know that we're available to assist in any way we can with, just the employment and public accommodation and housing, fair housing laws. We're open to do workshops virtually or in person if allowed by COVID standards. And they have reached back and have said that they appreciate that offer, and they will definitely keep us in mind. And when it gets to that point, or should it get to that point, that they will contact us. So that's pretty much the outreach update. But if you have any questions, I'm here.
I have a
We
question.
share the-
Go ahead, Commissioner Worth.
Mary Ann, I just had a quick question. I'm curious, in terms of that outreach, has there been any consideration about Episcopal Migration Services or the Episcopal Diocese of Lexington, Kentucky? I only ask because I'm on a subscription list with Episcopal Migration Services, and I'm seeing a lot of activity with the national headquarters of the Episcopal Church regarding the whole care of the refugee population that you're describing today. I didn't know if that might be another opportunity for outreach with Episcopal Migration Services or the Diocese of Lexington, Kentucky.
I will, we have not reached out to them, but I will definitely do so today and offer them the same services that we've offered everyone else and see what they can share with us.
Thanks, Mary Ann. That's awesome. Thanks, Chair.
Any other questions by anyone? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Mary Ann. Thanks for that report. Next item on the agenda is the report of the legal unit, Colt.
Good morning. Again, if you've got any questions about my report, I'm happy to take them.
No questions for Colt? Okay, hearing none, then we'll go to committee reports. And I think the executive director has updated us on the two committees we have, the one on the policy position process and bylaws, and then one on the funding opportunities and funding concepts. And yeah, as I said, those committees, the chairs, he's met with the chairs and they're now working through that, and we'll have reports on that later. So that is in fact coming forward. Next item is there any new business? Or I should back up and say, for the two chairs, is there anything you want to add to the executive director's report on what your committees are doing?
I don't have any additional information other than what Terrence already presented, Chairman Burse, but it's been a pleasure working with him and with the various community foundations that we've been investigating. So thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I see, Terrence, have you put up the resolution on the support of banning conversion therapy?
Does it show now?
Yeah, it does now.
Okay, good.
You go ahead. Go ahead.
So you all saw, I sent out the draft of this resolution in the support of any legislation or actions banning conversion therapy. I took all of the feedback and my glaring typo in the word human and revised that. So this now reflects all of the suggestions that you all shared with me and changed it to be dated for today. If you all were to adopt, and then we can send this out. I didn't know if anyone had any other questions or wanted to discuss before taking any formal action on this resolution, but this does cover all feedback that I received from each of you. And it was really good working with Commissioner Worth and Representative Banta on getting some of this information out there. And I don't know if you had other things to add to that, Commissioner Worth.
No, I appreciate your work, and it was a very good meeting with Representative Banta. And I think that we're in a unique situation to see some progress in this arena, hopefully with the upcoming General Assembly. So thank you.
Any questions or comments from any other commissioners? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and second that the resolution be approved. All those in favor, I can't see us. Yeah, raise your hand.
Jim Glenn, aye.
Okay. Okay, the resolution passes. Is there any additional new business?
Chairman Burse,
Yes, go ahead.
I was just curious if this would be an appropriate time to recognize our executive director, who was named upcoming 40 under 40 kind of guy. And I was really happy to see that. And I thought maybe we could take this opportunity to congratulate Terrence on that award and that recognition.
Well, congratulations, Terrence. On it. I guess I missed, so everybody, a little clap.
Thank you.
Great.
Maybe Terrence can say a word about what that recognition is for people who aren't familiar with the 40 under 40 that happens around the state with local chambers of commerce.
You're making me talk. No, I thank you for that recognition, and Commissioner Worth, and thank you for the applause and celebrating that. It was one of those things that I was not expecting to happen, and something that I never thought would be. I never pictured being on any of those types of lists, never really sought out being on those types of lists, but it is a nice honor to be recognized in that way. And what it really does is I was grateful for any publication that comes out. The print, there's a magazine that comes out actually tomorrow related to it. But the biggest thing for me was that on top of it, it has the name of this agency. And I think that once we start moving forward with some of the foundation work, that's just something that we can also use as just free publicity for the agency. So I think that that can help with what we're trying to do here. And so that was one of the bigger pieces for me of that recognition, is that hopefully it opens the door to be able to do even more good work. So that's the biggest piece of that honor for me.
Okay, thank you.
Chair, if I could address something as well.
Go ahead, Rabbi.
The original date of this meeting was actually last week, was the 16th, which was the Jewish holiday of Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish year. And it was moved to better accommodate both myself and any Jewish member of our community that wanted to listen in. And I just wanted to express how much both myself and our community appreciates that recognition.
Okay, any other matter that anyone wants to bring up? Or any item that wasn't on the agenda that you'd like to discuss?
This is Jim Glenn. I have a quick question. I
Yes.
saw an article in our report that Mayor Fisher opened some camps in downtown for homeless people. Is that normal nationwide, or but it'll be an open camp in downtown Louisville? Are other cities doing this? I was just not aware of it.
To my knowledge, there are some other cities who have tried it, and the sort of the success rate has been mixed in terms of doing it. Downtown Louisville has really, in the last maybe 3 or 4 years, had a tremendous increase in the homeless population, and the city has struggled with how to address that. And so I guess one of the proposals for using some of the ARPA funding was this. And we'll see where it goes. It was received in a mixed way by members of the Metro Council as well. So we'll see where it goes. But there are some cities that have done something similar.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone else? So our next meeting is scheduled for October the 21st at 9 o'clock. And I guess, Terrence, the question I have is, some state agencies have gone back to in-person. I don't know what you and the staff have done, or where you are, or what your thoughts about potentially this body meeting in person. I know that Delta variant is out there and it's sort of mixed. Some organizations and the boards are meeting, some in person and some are not. It'll be interesting. So where are you in the staff?
I think we can happily and easily accommodate everyone to be here that feels comfortable. And then we can do as we did in this time last year, actually, for those who do wish to stay virtual, we can set up the screen in the boardroom and be able to have a hybrid meeting for anyone who wishes to stay home or to exercise extreme caution. And so we can do that in person and accommodate accordingly.
Yeah.
I would note, with things changing as quickly as they are, sometimes it might be ill-advised to plan something even 30 days in advance. It might be worth taking a look at this in 2 weeks and seeing what health numbers are at, what comfort levels are at, et cetera.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
That's fine. What I was going to suggest, Terrence, is that you poll the commission members in a couple of weeks to see what people's individuals decision is, or what their thought process is, and we'll make a determination then as to what we'll do. I think in any event, a hybrid is probably the thing to plan for. but we can always, so at the later date, just pull and make it totally virtual. So I think that's where we are. Okay. Any additional updates on space?
There are no additional updates on space. The designer has not finished getting all of the build outs as with state specifications. I can check again next week on if they have any updated timelines on when that can be done. The projected change is still for a possible move in at the start of the new year in January. And so they haven't said any way that that's not happening. The bonus of the plans as we need them, the places that seem more likely to accommodate what our office needs would be easier build outs once they are approved. So the actual build out time won't be as long. And then we will need to work on logistics and if moving the logistics of getting the office moved and getting all of that changed. But the anticipated change is still slated for the start of the next year. And if anything changes, I'll let you all know. But I will follow up next week to see if they've made any movement on getting those priced out build outs done.
Okay. Thank you for that. Yeah. And one last thing, and I guess I'm toying with, I don't know whether it falls within our jurisdiction or any of those things. I guess yesterday morning here in Louisville, if you follow the press, there was a young student killed at a bus stop in West Louisville in terms of violence and what is taking place. A lot of discussions around why the level of violence, particularly young people. I think there's like 25 or 35 young people who have been killed or wounded in the Louisville area this calendar year. And, you know, a lot of comments around, you know, this is driven by things that in terms of communities being basically disregarded for years and then all coming to a head. I don't know how much of what is going on plays or is within the domain of jurisdiction of things that we look at and that we can make comments on or take positions on or look at. But I do think would ask Terrence and the staff to start thinking about, or in terms of looking at data and information, is there something that this body can say or do to weigh in to call attention to the basically abandonment and absence of things in certain segments of this community that has resulted in where we are today. It's sad and it's unfortunate, but people are struggling to find, you know, how do you address it and how do you make a change? And I think with yesterday's event, it was already urgent. It's taken on even a greater sense of urgency in terms of being able to do some things. So we'll see what we can do in terms of doing that.
Chairman, that news is making a big impact here in Northern Kentucky. It's being headlined in our Northern Kentucky outlets as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this is Jim Glenn. My mother's in the hospital this morning, and I'm in Chicago. But that report in Louisville was on the news this morning.
Okay.
I have no idea what's going on with the kids. But thank you very much.
Okay. Okay. Anything else from anyone?
I just as a one, thank you for bringing that up. If anyone wants to reach out to me to talk about how we can comment on some of those things, please do. That's something that I've really been thinking about since yesterday. Sorry, I went to the vigil last night at the bus stop and just hearing the people there and seeing some of the parents and just the discussion. I welcome any further discussion from any of you for us to take some type of finding a way that we can help or contribute or whatever. So anyone that wants to, please reach out to me so we can talk about that.
And can I jump in? Chair Burst, the news reported yesterday that there was 27 JCPS students killed this calendar year, and I think 91 JCPS students shot. So that's just in Louisville alone in the Jefferson County Public School System.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for that, Aaron. Okay, hearing none, and we come to the end of our agenda. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Jim Glenn, adjourn.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We adjourn. Thank you for a great and timely meeting. Thank all of you for your contributions that you make to this body. Thank you for your service and what you're doing, and thanks for the difference you're making in your communities as we strive to make this commission even more relevant than it has been in recent years, and return back to the words in the statute that created us to give full meaning to every one of the things that we're supposed to do. So thank you again, and have a good day.
Take care. Bye-bye.